Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. As you saw, I were gonna make a dress out of lace this week, and I saw a dress from River Island that was made out of broderie, but I had this lace lying down for quite some while now and I thrifted it, and I wasn't sure what it was because it has this nicely scalloped part on one of the sides, but it's just on, I would say, on the bottom. It's 260 high and on the bottom has this nice rim. So I think it was supposed to be a curtain or something, because normally when it is fabric to sew clothing from, you have this nice border on both sides. It is normally the selvage or something like that, and now it's just on one side and the other side has just this plain selvage part like this. But this border is really nice and I wanted to use it for the bottom of the dress. But it is not enough for all the way around, so I have to figure out how to do it. But we're gonna make a dress out of it. It will be a dress or a beach cover-up, whatever you want to call it, but I won't line it, because when it's a beach cover-up you don't want any lining underneath it. It's nice when you have a little bit see-through. But if you want to wear it as a dress, you of course need something to put under. I'm not gonna line it, but I have a tutorial how to make an underdress or a removable lining. I will link it up here and down in the description box. So if you want to wear it as a dress, you can make that underdress to wear underneath this dress. So I'll show you how we're gonna make it. And if you like my tutorials, please consider subscribing. Leave me a comment if you have anything to ask. And maybe if you like the dress that I'm wearing now, I also have a sewing class for it. I'll leave it up there and also down below in the description box. Then you can recreate this nice dress with the cutout in the front. And this is the dress that I saw. It is really nice of that broderie, but mine will be lace, so it will look a little bit different, but the shape will be the same. So it is water white. It is cinched in at the waist with a cord with some tassels. I like that very much, so we're certainly gonna make that ourselves, or maybe you can find it in the shop to buy it, but I'm gonna make it myself. And then you see that beautiful hem. I don't know what it's called. It's not scalloped because those are rounds, but these are points. I'm gonna make that off the bottom of my dress, but because of my lace is not wide enough to go all around, I will just make it in the front and just do the back hem plain, because I have no other options. I just have 1 meter of that nice border on my fabric, and that is not enough to go all around, so I will just have that in the front, and the back I will just hem normally. We have the sleeves with the elastic just above the wrist, so that you have some ruching on the bottom, and then you have the v-neck with a fake button up, so you can just sew that in the middle and then just put fake buttons on. You can make it opening up if you want to, but because it's not all the way through down, it doesn't have any function, so do whatever you like. And then when I looked well, but I couldn't really see what it was, it looks like there is some ruching along the neckline, well, on the back of the neckline. I'm not sure what it is. I zoomed in, but I still cannot really see, and I couldn't find another picture, so I'm gonna see if I can make some ruching with my lace there in the back neck hole. I don't know how it will look, but I'm gonna try it. And so if rather plain dress, it's just a fabric that is very nice, makes it nice, and I think it's a very versatile dress to have just as a dress or as a beach cover-up. So I think this will be a nice one to make. Oh, and of course we have that ruffle on the bottom of the skirt. Well, it's not really a ruffle because it's not really wider than the top of the skirt, but we're certainly gonna sew on another piece of fabric to get some layering in the skirt part. And this is probably the worst drawing that I made here on my channel. So for new viewers, I promise you I'm really better in pattern making and in sewing. I really cannot draw at all, and it is not a problem because it's just to show what I want to make and for myself to have a reminder what details I want, but this is really a bad one, so I'm sorry for that. So the dress will be rather plain. It's just going straight down or a little bit out, as depending on how wide you want it to be. We make that ruffle part here on the bottom that is slightly wider than the top of the skirt. We make long sleeves or 3/4 sleeves, whatever you like. I think I'll make mine 3/4. I like that more, especially for a summer dress, than really long sleeves, because that's so hot in summer. We cinch it in with some elastic just above the wrist, and then you have this nice ruffle here on the bottom. If you have a fabric that has more of that nice scalloped hem, you can also do that on the bottom of your sleeves. Obviously I don't have, so I just make a hem here. Or maybe I can do it on the other selvage of my fabric where the scalloped hem is not. Then we have a fake button up here in the mid front. You can make it whatever you like. I will just make a seam here, top stitch it. It looks as if it has a wrap over, and I just sew on some buttons here. We make a casing in on the waistline to pull that cord through that we're gonna make. I think I'll crochet it and make some tassels on the bottom. I think that will look very nice. And then I'm gonna try, if I can with my lace, to make some kind of ruffle here on the back of the dress. I'm not sure how to do it, I'm not sure how it looks, and especially I'm not sure how it will feel, because lace is rather harsh, and I'm afraid when I do that it will not feel nice in my neck. So I'm not sure, but I'm gonna see, I'm gonna try what I can do with. And so I didn't even bother making a new pattern, because it is just almost the basic pattern that we already have. So if you don't have your basic pattern yet, I will leave the tutorial up here how you can do that, and also down below in the description box. It's very easy to do, and you can use it all over again. We just make adjustments to that basic pattern. So once you have it, you can use it for almost every garment that we make. So what I did is I took my basic pattern, and I cut the top part for the front. I cut the top part till the waist, so that we have here the seam that we can put the fake buttons on, and the bottom part I cut off on the fold here, so then we can sew that together. And the nice thing also is, when we have a seam here, is that we can use that for the casing for the cords that we want to pull through. And what I did, because we want a V, I folded in here this piece to the marking that I already made on my basic pattern, how low I want my V to be when I have a garment that we want to have a V-neck hole. So the only other thing that I did is I didn't follow the line of my basic pattern, because this one is fitted. I wanted to go out, so I measured out from the bottom of the armhole, going out just as wide as you like. I don't want it too wide, because then I have too much fabric around me, but I gave it a bit and just measure how wide you want your dress to be here at the waistline or at the bottom, and then take that curve that way. For the back, I cut it on the fold here. Of course, the back neck hole that your basic pattern has. And then the same going out the side seam, and the waistline here doesn't have a seam. You can do that, you can do it same as this, but I will just put some fabric on the inside to accommodate the casing that we have here in the front because of the seam. Because I could have done it, because you will still see some stitching here because of the casing. So it doesn't matter, you can just make it in two parts like the front. I didn't do it, but maybe it was better to do, because then you already have your casing. But that's too late for now, because then it will be too short. And then what I did is, of course you measure out how long you want your dress to be. I took off 20 centimeters because I wanted ruffle here on the bottom 20 centimeters high. So this part is 60 centimeters, and then the ruffle on the bottom will be 20 centimeters. And I cut off, I still have my pins in, so they are sticking together. I cut off the part with the scalloped hem for the front, and my width is 1 meter, and that is almost 1.5 times this measurement of my top skirt part. I don't want too much ruffling, because I don't want too much cinching, you know, gathering here on the top. And for the back part, because I don't have that nice scalloped hem, I just cut a normal piece, and here I have to hem the bottom part, and I do that before I connect them together, because I must make sure when it's hemmed that it has the same length, it goes the same height as my deepest part of my scallop, otherwise it won't look nice. So that is for later. That I didn't make this in two parts, because maybe because of the casing it would have been better. So if you can, just put the back part also in two pieces, because then you don't have to worry about the casing here. You just fold the connecting hem upwards, or the connecting seam upwards. That's easier to do. And for the sleeve, you can also just use our basic pattern. Also, I will link it up here and down in the description box. Just measure out how long you want your sleeve to be. I made mine a little bit shorter because I want about a 3/4 sleeve. And just the same, I just make it straight on and not going in. So I have more to ruffle here, but maybe that will be too much. And I cut this one on the selvage on the other side of my fabric, so the top of the curtain, I think. And that means that we're gonna ruffle it in here, and I don't have to hem nor finish this. And also the nice thing of lace, of course, is you don't have to finish it, you don't have to zigzag the seams or serge it or whatever, because it won't fray. So it's very easy project to do, and very nice to do. No patterns to make, no finishing to do, just sew it together and you're done. The most difficult thing, maybe if you're not familiar with it, is crocheting the tie in the waist, but maybe you can buy it and then that's easy too. So I measured my back pattern, and it was possible, I had enough seam allowance to also make that in two parts. So I cut off the bottom part below the waistline for my back part, so that it's the same as the front, and then it's easier to show you how to make the casing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to assemble the front and the back top part. So put your front parts on top of your back part, right sides together, and then we can sew our shoulder seams and our side seams. So pin down both your shoulder seams and both your side seams, and then sew them down. And as I said before, you don't have to finish it, you don't have to zigzag it or serge it when you have lace like this. When you have a broderie like the inspo picture, then you certainly have to do it, because that is just cotton with some embroidery on it, but the sides will fray. So when you have that, certainly zigzag or serge that. Then you can also sew the side seams of your hip part that is connected to your top parts. Sew your mid front seam. So take them together, place the two front parts on top of each other and sew that down. And if you want to top stitch it, do that afterwards now, because later on it will be more difficult, and when you top stitch it, it will look more like an overlap, and I think that's nice when you make that fake buttons, that it just looks like it is real. And when you've done that, then certainly iron open all the seams that you just made, because that gives a nicer finish afterwards. Now we're gonna sew our hip parts to our top part of the bodice. So this is the right side up, this is the wrong side up, and you just push your hip part, or you push your top part into your hip part, so that the bottom of the top and the top of the bottom are matching. And then you make sure that your side seams are facing each other. You pin them first and then pin all around so that you can sew the two parts together. So you have one circle into the other. And make sure now you have enough seam allowance here, because we use this seam allowance for our casing. So make sure you have at least 1 centimeter of seam allowance left. Before we finish the casing, we have to make sure that we have openings to put the cord in. And when you have lace that has big enough holes, you probably don't have to do anything, but mine are very small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 buttonholes, very small buttonholes here, just left and right for my middle side seam, and then on the top part of the bodice, so not on the hip part but on the top part, so that side of your seam, and just 2 centimeters or something from the mid front. That will be okay. And when you have such a sheer lace as I have, make sure you put something underneath, so a piece of fabric or a piece of interfacing or something to give some grip to your lace, because otherwise your fabric will rip when you try to make a buttonhole here. So when you have just a little piece of viscose or cotton that you can put under, and if you don't have that, then just take a little piece of very fine, very lightweight interfacing, put that under, and then make 2 buttons here. Now what you do is you flip your seam allowances up to the top, and you pin that on the edge to the top part of your bodice. And I will flip it around and it's easier. And then just as close to the edge as you can, you're gonna sew that down. And that means that you have now then a casing that is about 1 centimeter wide. So that is nice to put your cord through. And you can do that now through your buttonhole, so you don't have to leave an opening or something when you sew that down. So just put all the seam allowance up and just sew that all around to the top bodice. Nice casing now. I hope you can see it. Yes, you can see everything here. And now I'm going to work on our ruffle, and because I only have one part with that nice scalloped hem, I first gonna hem the other part that doesn't have that finish, because I don't want to leave it like this. I could, because it doesn't fray, but I just make a very simple hem by just folding it in 1 centimeter and then top stitching it. So nothing difficult. But if you have 2 scalloped hems, then you can now make your side seams for your ruffle. So just put the right sides together and sew them together in the side seams. I'm going to do that when I've hemmed it, because I want them to be both exactly the same length. So where my scalloped hem ends, I also want to end my back part of my ruffle. So that length must be the same. Now you have a few options how to make your ruffle to your dress. Because this fabric doesn't fray, you can just gather this and then put it just on top of the skirt part, and leave a centimeter here as an outstanding ruffle. You can do it just like that. What you also can do is just fold it in 2 centimeters or 1.5 centimeter, then gather it up, make the basting stitch together with, and then sew it onto the dress. I think I will like that more, otherwise although it doesn't fray, it looks a little bit cheap if you don't make a fold here for that part that is standing loose, standing out. So I'm gonna fold it in, then make a basting stitch all the way around the ruffle so that you can ruffle it up. You just pull on the loose ends at the beginning and the end to ruffle it up, and then pin it onto the bottom of your skirt, and then sew it on just 1 centimeter from the edge here, so that you have a nicely ruffled piece here standing loose, and it looks really nice. So I will fold it in, but if you like it more without a fold, then you can also do it just like this, just on an angle, single piece of fabric. And then you adjust your gatherings till the ruffle has the same width as the skirt that you have to attach it on. So just wiggle it around a bit that it is nicely distributed, and then pin them together and sew that down all the way around. The sleeves, you take a piece of elastic that fits nicely around your underarm. Don't make it too tight, but also not too loose. And then mark where the middle is of your elastic, and mark where the middle is of your sleeve, the bottom of your sleeve of course. Then I marked 5 centimeters from the bottom of my sleeve, because that's where I want my elastic to sit. And then what you do is you pin it to the end of your sleeve, to the side seam of your sleeve, on that 5 centimeter marking. And you pin that on either side of your sleeve. And then you pin it to the middle of your sleeve. So you match up the middle of your sleeve and the middle of your elastic, and you pin it there. Again on that 5 centimeter marking, and then you're going to sew that down. I would do it with a zigzag stitch. My experience is when you do it with a straight stitch, your elastic will get stretched out and doesn't really stretch in again. So while sewing, just stretch it out every time a bit and then sew that on. And when you've sewn your elastic on, you fold your sleeve right sides together, and you sew your sleeve seam, of course, for both the sleeves. Now we're going to put our sleeves in the armhole, and what you do is you put your dress with the wrong side up, and you take your sleeve with the right side up, and then you put your sleeve into the armhole. So just flip it in, align the sleeve seam to your side seam, and pin that down. And then beforehand you should have marked the middle of your sleeve, but you can also do it now. And then align that with your shoulder seam, and then pin it all around your armhole. And here you see I thought I had ironed this open, this seam, because you really should iron your seams open. That gives a really more nice result than when you just leave them like that. And I ironed it open, I thought, but now I think I didn't it right, or I missed this one. And then it's very difficult to put your sleeve nicely in. So just make those two parts connected, and then pin the rest of your sleeve to the back side and to the front side, and then sew that down. So the sleeves are in, looking very nice. Now what you have to do is you have to finish here this V in the front and the back line. And I tried several things for making that ruffle here in the back, but it really didn't work out. It didn't look nice, it didn't feel nice at all, because when you have this in a double ruffled up in your neck, it's really annoying. So I decided to not do it, just hem it. And the hemming I'll just do with folding it in 1 centimeter and then top stitching. And for the back I was debating if I wanted to make facing, but because it is a little bit stretchy, I will just first do a reinforcement stitching, then give it a few snips and then just fold it in, same as the front, 1 centimeter, and then I can get away with the little curve that it has. So we're gonna do that now. For the cord and the tassels, we will start with the tassels. And what I did is I cut a piece of cardboard that is about 7 centimeters wide, and you wrap your ribbon around it 30 times. And I wanted to have white yarn, but I only had this rose gold and I didn't want to buy anything because I wanted to use what I already had. So I'll make it out of this yarn. You can take whatever color you like, and I think when I can thrift some white yarn, I will make it again in white, because I think that looks more nice to the pink lace. But I'm going to use this now, and it's a really nice rose gold shiny yarn. So wrap it around 30 times. It's a bit depending on, I need 5 more, 4 or 5. On the thickness of your yarn, so just try one and see if it is big enough. I think this looks really nice, so this was 30 times, and with my yarn you can see it's more of a flat wider ribbon. 30 times is a nice width, I think. Then you cut it off, and then you take another piece of that same yarn and you put it in between and you knot it off, and that is to make sure that you have all these strings tied up before you take them off your cardboard. So just pull it through and then give it a double knot or triple knot even. Make sure you knot it very well. Like that. Slide it to the top and then slide it off your cardboard. Then you have something like this. Then you take another piece of that yarn and you wrap it around the top, just a centimeter or something below, to get that thick head. And wrap it around a few times, otherwise it will slide off. And then knot it off as tightly as you can, and I usually use my mouth to tighten it. I hope that was not in frame, but it works very well, and I don't use my teeth for anything, because I used to be a dentist and you shouldn't use your teeth for anything else than eating. But for this, because my hands don't really work that well anymore, it helps a lot. So like that, you can push it a bit on that you get that nice bubble effect. And then you cut off the bottom pieces that are still loops. You just cut them open by putting the scissors through the loop, and then you can cut them on all the same length, because sometimes some have shifted a bit and are longer or shorter than the rest, as you see here. And just cut it off, give it a trim, that it looks more nice. And then you have a really nice tassel that you can tie onto your rope. And then I'm going to show you how to make that rope, because I crochet it myself. I'm not good at crocheting, but this is just the basic of the basics, so it's very easy to do. Just give it a bit of a tail so that you can have some room to tie the tassels on if you need to, and then make a loop, just a single loop, a slip knot. And then you put, of course you need a crochet needle, I hope you can see it, yes. Then you take your needle in one hand, the yarn and the tail on the other, and you loop your needle underneath that yarn, and then you pull, and the first stitch is always a little bit difficult, you pull that loop on your needle over that yarn. So you put it under, and then you put that over, go under your thread and put the loop over. And it's very simple to do. It goes very quick. You can make a whole rope piece, a chain of stitches in just a minute. So it's not a lot of work, and it's very easy to do. The only thing is you must try, especially when you're not familiar with crocheting, that you make every loop the same tightness, because otherwise it looks a bit strange. And as I said, I'm not good at it, but I'm trying. And the nice thing is now most of your rope will be in the casing of your dress, so you won't see it. So it will look something like this. And it is stretchy. You will see when it's longer, you will notice that it's stretchy. So also that's very comfortable to wear in your dress. So I'm gonna tie my tassels to already the rope that I already made. Make your rope long enough so that it can go around your waist, and also tie your bow at the end, because you cannot, well, you can knot it, but then you have difficulties opening it up when you want to take your dress off. So make a bow, so make enough length, tie your tassels to the end, and then before you tie the last tassel, first thread your chain through the casing. Otherwise, when you put both tassels on, you cannot get it through, unless your casing is very wide, but mine is, so isn't. So I'm first gonna take one tassel on, then put my rope through and put the other tassel on. And I think it turned out as a really summery dress. Very short for me, but certainly for holiday or something, very nice. As a beach cover-up, very nice and airy, but still you are covered on all places, and I think it looks really nice. The tie is really funny, it's stretchy, so it's very comfortable. I like the tassels. I don't like the color, as I already said, but I think it matches very well. But I rather had the white yarn, but I didn't have it, so I think it's a really nice dress. It's nice 3/4 sleeves. You can pull them up to short if you like, and I'm happy I have the nice scalloped hem in the front. It doesn't bother really that it isn't in the back, because you don't see them together, so it isn't really obvious that the back is different than the front. So I'm very happy with this result. So I didn't line it. I have a tutorial how to make a slip dress. I will link it up here and down in the description box if you like to make that. I also have a tutorial on how to make a removable lining, so a lining that you can wear in a dress but also in other dresses, so you can just take it out, put it into another dress. That's very easy to have. I will link that also up there and in the description box. I just put a slip dress underneath that I already had, and that's very nice too. If you wear it as a beach cover-up, of course you don't need it, but it is very sheer if you just want to use it as a really normal dress, and then I should try some of the options. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please consider subscribing. If you haven't done already. And I used to upload every week. I now do it every other week because every week is a bit too much with my health issues. So I'll be back not next Sunday, but Sunday after that with a new tutorial. If you have any suggestions for me, what you like me to make, please leave a comment down below. Or if you have anything to ask or anything to say, also leave a comment. I like to read your comments. And I thank you so much for watching this time, and I'll see you again next time. Bye. Thanks for watching.